So you're thinking about going back to work or starting work as a blind or visually impaired person. What should you do? And what are some of the pros and cons of doing this or not doing this? Let's go discuss it. Hey, it's Matt, back with you for another video today talking about working as a blind or visually impaired person. So many of us have been asking this question and wondering this for years. Do I go back to work? Do I start working? And if I do, what do I do when I go back to work? What are my skills? What can I do or what can't I do? Who would employ me? So these are a lot of common questions that a lot of us who are in this community ask ourselves, and I see it in the Facebook groups and in the comments pretty often. A lot of people who are in this community are always wondering, do you work? Do you not work? If you do work, how many hours a week do you work? What do you do for work? What are some of the limitations that we have in the workplace with our low vision? And again, who would hire us as a blind or visually impaired person? So a lot of common questions that I see all over online, like I said, in the comment sections, a lot in the Facebook groups, and I've asked a lot of different people these same exact questions because I've always wondered too. The last time I actually had a traditional job that I went to was in 2008, so a long time ago. It was actually in August of 2008 when I left that job. So, a little over 10 years ago, like 10 and a half years ago-ish, was the last time I actually reported to a traditional job. And when I did work, that job was actually in a pharmacy. So I was a pharmacy technician, and I actually loved that job. I did that for about 2 years, and I loved it. It was something that I learned. I started working in a pharmacy, and I just kind of learned the skills as I went. And then eventually, about a year in, I went in and got certified as a, what do they even call it? A pharmacy technician certification or whatever it is. So anyway, I did that, but some of the work was difficult for me. There were different things that were, different aspects of the job that were very difficult for me as far as like using the computer, maybe reading, prescriptions when you bring one in from the doctor that's written. Sometimes I would have a hard time seeing that, seeing what the doctor had written on there and their orders. Otherwise, as far as like filling prescriptions and things like that, there were different times that I had difficulties with it due to my vision because some of the tablets were small and there wasn't very high contrast between the tablet and maybe like the counting tray, things like that. So there were just a lot of different things, but I learned to adapt, and I didn't leave the job because I had to. I left the job because I was actually going back to school again, and I just left the job. So anyway, that's a little bit of history the last time I actually worked a traditional job. But in the meantime, I've done a lot of various jobs. Currently, if you have watched this channel for any given amount of time, you know that we own a couple of rental properties. So that's something that I do. It's something that I completely manage the properties myself. Anytime the tenants need to, like if they contact me because they need something or they need something fixed or repairs or maintenance or all of the paperwork associated with it, everything that pertains to the rental properties, I do that. Other than that, I do some other contract work with my dad. My dad and I do it together. We basically do kind of like demo work. So we'll go into like houses, or we do some commercial work, not a lot, but we've done some where we go in and we basically just demo whatever it is that the person wants demoed. So that's something that I do. But I've also asked the question to myself many times, and I've asked a lot of you what you do for work, for those of you who do work. And I've always asked, I want to know in detail, like what is it that you do? How much vision do you have? What type of assistive technology do you use, or modifications do you use around the workplace? Do you ask your employer for any accommodations to help you do your job? So these are a lot of the common questions. And I actually noticed in one of the Facebook groups yesterday, someone was talking about, she was considering going back to work, and she was saying that she has about 10 degrees of vision. And she was wondering, do I go back to work and what do I do? And I thought that was really interesting. And I actually left a comment on that post, and I was saying, going back to work as someone who is blind or visually impaired is actually more beneficial from more of like a social aspect versus from a monetary aspect. And maybe that's not true for everybody, but my rebuttal to that would be, I think it's absolutely more critical for us, if we're considering going back to work, to do it more for like a social or interaction standpoint than it is necessarily for going for the money. Because as all of us know who are in this community, being blind or visually impaired can actually be incredibly isolating. We don't get out very much. In most situations, a lot of us that I've talked to, we don't really have a huge social circle. And the reason for that is just because it's difficult to get out. Maybe we don't have a whole lot of friends, and if we do, it's difficult to go out and meet them. Maybe they go out to a restaurant. Well, all of us know that in this community, a lot of us have really bad night vision, or we have a hard time navigating places. So to go out and meet friends at a dark restaurant isn't always the easiest thing to do. And a lot of times it causes some anxiety between us who, when we try to go out in these places and we stumble on chairs, or we trip on something, or we can't see our way to get to the bathroom, or we need someone to assist us. So like I was saying in the post that I messaged to this person on Facebook, I was saying that when you think about going back to work or starting work as a blind or visually impaired person, you might want to consider, what is it that I enjoy doing, or what do I want to get out of this work? In some cases, maybe you want to go back to work to make extra money. That's totally fine. I think that's great. And I think that ultimately that would be the purpose for a lot of us, to go back to work so we can get some extra money and get us out of the house. But also at the same time, I think a lot of us would want to go back to work, like I said, strictly for the social aspects of it. It's so powerful to be able to be out in the community, socializing and just interacting with people, because by nature, we do have somewhat of a isolating life, because we don't get out a whole lot, we don't talk to a whole lot of people, and it's just so important to get out and have those interactions with others. So I would say, if you're considering going back to work and you're wondering what you should do, or not really what you should do, but like where should you start looking for a job, I would maybe start considering, what is it that you love to do? Like, what are you possibly passionate about? What are some of your hobbies? What do you enjoy doing with your time? And a good way to figure out the answers to those questions is, what do you spend your time doing? Like, what do you spend the majority of your time doing when you don't have other obligations? If you're at home on a weekend and you have nothing going on that weekend, what do you find yourself doing with your time? Maybe it's watching YouTube videos. I don't know. Maybe you do some kind of craft that you work on. Maybe you watch movies. Maybe you spend a lot of time on Facebook, something like that. I don't know. There's so many different things that we do. And if you do spend a lot of time on YouTube watching videos, what do you watch videos about? Like, what are you trying to learn? What type of people are you interacting with? Hopefully you're spending a lot of time on this channel watching these videos, because I feel like I possibly provide some value. If not, I would like to hear from you and let me know what I can do differently to provide even more value. But my point is, figuring out what you're passionate about, what some of your hobbies are, and what you enjoy doing with your spare time would possibly lead you to something to do for a work opportunity. And again, so not only are you going to work for some extra money, but yet you're going to work doing something that you are somewhat interested in, possibly passionate about, one of your hobbies, something like this. And then at the same time, you're having interactions with others. And I feel like that's very important for all of us. Again, in this community, on this channel, I feel like it's so incredibly important to have these connections with people. Like I said in some of my other videos, I reply to every single comment that comes in on this channel. And the reason that I do that is so that I can connect with all of you, because I know that in this community, connection is so important. I know for me, on other channels, when I comment to somebody and nobody replies, it's like, well, why did I even write a comment? I didn't get a reply anyway, and I don't know. I guess for me, when I'm reaching out to somebody, I kind of want that interaction. So I'm kind of looking for, a reply, like, hey, if I'm asking you a question, I kind of want a reply, because I'm looking for that interaction. Maybe your expertise, maybe your knowledge on the subject. So, like I've said so many times, I reply to all the comments that come in here, not only to have that connection with each other, but possibly to give you any support or feedback or knowledge that you're looking for, and just to give you that connection, because that's what all of us ultimately are probably looking for in this community, somewhat of a connection. That's probably why you're watching this video and probably why you follow this channel, because you want that connection with somebody who shares a commonality with you, right? Someone else who's blind, someone else who's visually impaired, someone else who has retinitis pigmentosa, whatever the case may be, that's why I'm here. So if you're thinking about going back to work, think about it. Just consider what you enjoy doing. Consider something that you possibly can do with the vision that you have, or maybe you have lack of vision, or you don't have much vision left. Maybe consider, what can I do? What are some of the skills that I have? What are some of the skills that you have? Did you possibly work before your vision got to the point that it is now? And if you did, what did you do? And are there any aspects within that field that you can pursue? So for me, if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you know that I like to work out. And I've actually considered going to work at the gym that I work out at, not necessarily because I want to go and work for $10 an hour, but because I want to go and I want to have that interaction with people. I want to be able to do something that makes me feel a little more valuable rather than just sitting at home all the time doing things around the house, although that's beneficial and I do provide a lot of value to Corey and the household here. There's a lot more to be said about actually getting out of the house and providing value to more people, greater numbers of people than just maybe the few people around your household. So I've actually thought maybe I should just go work at the front desk of the gym that I work out at, just simply to have those 5 or 10 or 15-second interactions with people as they come in and they check in for the gym and then they go off to go work out. That's all I would need. And not only that, the interactions that you would have with other coworkers, people that you're working with in your workplace. I feel like it's so important. I know for me, and again, this is just me, but when we have live streams, that is so incredibly powerful. When we leave those live streams and we exit the live stream, and then Corey and I are kind of discussing the live stream afterward, we're both so energized and so excited afterward, because it's that was really cool. We just got to interact with however many people. Maybe it's 10 people, maybe it's 3 people. It doesn't really matter. The fact that we're interacting with other people live in a live situation, live setting like that is so powerful, and it means so much. To me, I know it does, and I just love connecting with all of you. So, consider if you're going back to work, just what do you love to do, and check out some places that you possibly frequently visit in your community that you could possibly go apply at, and who knows, maybe it's something, maybe you can just be a greeter. Who cares? It doesn't really matter. Maybe you're a greeter at Walmart. Who really cares? It doesn't matter what you do, but rather it's the interaction and the social aspects of the job that you're getting out of it, that's the most powerful. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you do. Who cares? All of us are in this community to reach out to each other, to connect with each other, and hopefully connect with other people too. So again, just if you're interested in looking at a job or getting out there, just find something. And I think you'll find that you're going to be so much more happy and fulfilled being able to provide some type of value to other people as well. So anyway, I hope this video was somewhat helpful. Like I said, I just saw this in one of the Facebook groups yesterday, and I thought it might be an interesting video just to kind of throw some different ideas out there and just kind of connect with all of you, kind of my thoughts about working. But anyway, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave those down below. And like I said, I always comment and reply to every single comment that comes in on this channel. Otherwise, if you have a problem with anything I said, please, again, feel free to leave that down below. I never, ever do anything or say anything to insult anybody, anything like that. So if I ever do, please just let me know. I never do that. I always want to be supportive in every possible way I can. That's the whole purpose why we have this channel and why we're uploading videos constantly, just to give you more content and always be here for you as friends and just a supportive community. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. And otherwise, leave any comments or questions you have down below, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks again for watching. See you soon.